it's your boy John with the Throwing Bows podcast. And with me today, I have Sergio Andrade, fresh off of his victory at TCB 22. How you doing today, Sergio?
Doing great. I really loved the event. It was fun. I hope to be back at TCB 20, I believe it will be 23.
Yeah, probably.
September or something like that.
All right. Tell the people, for those that may not know who you are, tell the people a little bit about, where you're from and things like that.
So I grew up in PG County. I grew up in a little small town called Lewisdale. Man,
All right.
It wasn't the greatest environment growing up, so that's not why I got into fighting, but I always liked fighting, but it was fun. So it's a lot of people don't know Lewisdale, so I just call it Hyattsville area. All it is.
Right.
A lot of people know Hyattsville, so.
Right. I mean, I grew up in PG County too. Grew up in Spring Lake Apartments. I don't think it's called that anymore. I think it's called like Franklin Manor now or something. So, that's one of the things that we touched on when we saw you there fighting at TCB 22. Is like, where's that swag coming from? Is that that feels like a very PG County swag. And sure enough, it certainly is. So, yeah, it makes complete sense now. Certainly makes sense. So, let's touch on that. Since you're from PG County, small spot called Lewisdale. For people that don't know, some people may know, like the Port Towns area, Lewisdale, Blade, Hyattsville, that area right there. What led to your decision? You said growing up, you always obviously you're from PG County, growing up in Lewisdale, you kind of have to fight. It's just how we are in the county itself. So what led to your decision to walk into College Park MMA and, just to start training? Or did you go in with the thought of, I want to fight, period? So was it a progression?
I used to box for 2 years at like a little small gym it was like in Bladensburg. It was like really small.
Okay.
So I was just already trying to get active. That was, and I was in high school at the time, so I didn't really take it seriously, but I was going like regularly. I was trying to learn, and then that gym for whatever reason closed down. It was a little small gym. It wasn't a lot of money to go in there. I obviously didn't have a lot of money, but I was making it work to go in there. They closed down. Then I wanted to find like another boxing gym because that's what I was just used to doing. And then the closest gym I found was right here in College Park. So College Park MMA. I was like, hey, I'll try it. It's MMA, and I see it all the time, but I never really tried it. So I walked in.
Right.
As soon as I walked in, I see all the rolling and jiu-jitsu stuff, and I was like, this is kind of weird. But then I stayed for the striking, and I was like, ooh, the striking's fun. But then I couldn't kick, for anything. It was funny. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll stick with it and see what happens. So I started doing more of the striking. Then I started doing rolling. My first event was not a striking event, is the funny thing. My first event was Grappling Industries, and my first year, I went out and I got like third and fourth or something like that. It was great. It was awesome, and it felt like family when I got to this gym also.
Right. There's to give a little bit of for those other people that might not know, I was supposed to take a WKA officiating class there, and for whatever reason, the class didn't happen. And there was a miscommunication, whatever the case, and your head coach, Josh, was like, hey, if you got gear or you don't, you can roll since you're here. The class, it felt like a very friendly, inviting environment. Like, you could tell the energy was there, was very good, So speaking of, since you're a local guy, and one of the things that I wanted to touch on is, as an athlete, as a fighter here in Maryland, you have to travel to go fight. So what I wanted to ask you was, as what it would mean to you, since Maryland has control over both pro and amateur combat sports, what it would mean to you to be able to fight in Maryland, even if it wasn't, like say PG County, but just to be able to fight in Maryland. Why don't you touch on a little bit about that? Because a lot of people may not know about that.
It was man, it was great. It was like it's like I was fighting literally. I woke up and just to go fight home. It was like all the other times I would have to travel either like 2 days before or a day before. And it's like during the weight cut, it's like really stressful on yourself. Because
Right.
sometimes if I'm home, I can just like wake up the day of weigh-in to just go like weigh in and then eat whatever I want. But like traveling is like, say if it's like 2 hour drive and 3 hours or something like that, it's still a lot because you would have to leave the day before weigh-ins and still wait like that Saturday to go fight. So it's like a 3 day, something.
Right.
So I'd say it's taxing, but sometimes it's just, I like the adventure. So it's not too bad on myself.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but I as somebody that's we as a fan and whatnot and traveled to different events, like I gotta imagine, just for touching on that, being able to sleep in your own bed and travel an hour, half hour, whatever the traffic may be, I think a lot of people would enjoy that. And it's sadly enough, I was there at the event the day that Maryland took it over. The commissioner, Pat Pinella, he walked in and he was like, nah, this will be the last time. And because there was, the head official literally was wearing jean shorts and did 2 fights in front of Pat. And another guy did a fight. He reffed a fight with socks on, and it was, and some other things. And Pat was like, nope. So the crimes of the few got obviously the many punished, because that was a great event at the time, because there were a lot of, local teams. Like just about everybody on the card was from Maryland, or, just, outside within a few minutes drive. So I got to imagine that everybody would really enjoy being able to compete in front of their home fans. So, besides that, what goals specifically do you have set for yourself in this sport?
A lot of people don't know this about me. I do a bunch of other stuff. So a lot of my friends like bother me. So they're like, during the daytime I'm a teacher. During like the weekends I go out and like beat people up. But I teach 2nd and 3rd graders, elementary school.
Awesome.
I don't want to be a teacher, but it was a way of me to find like fluent and okay money. Because I was working at retail for a while, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to cut it. But I do that. I train. I go to Bowie State University trying to become a marine biologist. That's my lifetime also goal. But fighting just keeps me very sane, and it just keeps me going to what I do. So like,
gives you balance.
But it keeps me what I want to do.
So the fighting gives you kind of like that center and that balance that you need.
Yeah.
Of the chaos of your life.
Yep.
So, all right. So let's touch on some things that maybe some people may not know about you then. All right. So outside of fighting, what would be your passion?
I love sharks. Sharks. I've been liking sharks since I was like 4 or 5, something like that. I remember the one time I went to Ocean City, and then we had to like exit the water because it wasn't even sharks this time. It was like a dolphin in the deep pool, really close to shore. And then the moment my mom let go of my hand, I went running into the water, and I tried to go in because I wanted like to pet dolphins, but we thought they were sharks. So it was like, stuff like that. I really love the water. It's so fun.
So
I I'm also a big nerd in a sense. I like
Okay.
yeah, I like comic books. I don't know if you remember
Marvel DC.
the shoes I have. They're Nintendo 64. That's the reason I bought them. It's like I'm not a big like sneakerhead like that anymore, but the shoes that I did have on that night were they're the Nintendo 64 like colorway. So this was like, oh, these are awesome.
Yes,
That's why.
absolutely.
I love video games, GameCubes, Nintendo 64, uh, Super NES. I have a Switch. I have an Xbox One. I play games all day.
So you're a big, big, big gamer then.
Yeah.
So if you could fight, I'll ask a two-folded question then. What character would you identify your fighting style as?
That's a good question. I didn't really think about it like that, but I'd say like a Legend of Zelda type of character, like Link.
All right, so a bit of you like the Link. You got the Link vibe. Okay.
Legend of Zelda is my favorite game of all time.
It's a favorite in this house. It is definitely a favorite in this house. Now, all right, so we're gonna say your fighting style is like Link. Then, if you could fight any character within the video game realm, who would it be?
I'm gonna take it back for this one. I'll fight Metal Mario from Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh wow! Wow!
That was a very hard game. That's why, and it was great. I loved it.
That is a video game pool. That is a definite gamer pool. That is, you are definitely not a casual guy when it comes. If you're doing Metal Mario, that's not a casual thing at all. All right. Let's talk about, since you're a teacher and a fighter, and we've touched on the thing about your fighting style and things like that. With the Olympics going on and mental health awareness being a major topic recently, talk about how important mental health is within the sport itself, and how you get yourself ready for a fight.
Mental health is super important. I can go back to I want to say my second fight. That was in Delaware. I think it was Newcastle, Delaware. I lost two leg kicks. TKO two leg kicks is the worst year of my life. It was like that's all I thought about. I mean, there was a lot of things that went into that fight. My mind wasn't straight, and I didn't know how to really tell my coaches. My dad was going through some stuff. I was going through just some stuff, and it was like a lot. And like, I can feel myself, and then my coaches, when we were like warming up, whatever, they can feel that I wasn't at the level.
Right.
Like he doesn't look right. He's in the pads, but he doesn't look like he's ready to go do work. They even told me in the ring I looked good at one point. I had flashes of looking good, but then I would just like shut down. It was
Right.
so it's all a learning experience, but mental having your mind straight and everything, doing what you got to do is very super important. No matter if you got to go see a counselor the day before a fight, or just in general, it's like make sure everything is fine before you really step into that ring, or just in life in general. If you don't feel good at work one day and someone just says the wrong thing and you get ticked off at work, that makes you look like an asshole. And I don't like to do that because,
right,
like, why get mad at someone else for what you're going through?
I think it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. I think there's some stigmas obviously associated with it. Obviously, because of Simone Biles, there have been stances on either side, whether you agree or disagree. And I'm not going to get into any of that. I respect her decision, and I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, I've never competed at her level, so I can't even understand her pressure. So to have an opinion or to talk about her in a way when you can't do anything but lick the Cheeto dust off your fingers is amazing to me, what some of these people have said about, you know, that poor young woman. So, you know, I don't necessarily get it myself. But let's get off that negative subject right there. Or not so much a negative, but just a heavy deal. Let's get it back light. Obviously, you know, you said you're into, you know, you're a nerd. There's nothing wrong with that. Embrace it. It took me a while to embrace it, my inner nerd. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Are you a Marvel or DC person?
I'm gonna have to go towards the DC side. I really like the DC side. Nothing wrong with Marvel. I like the movies. I like their comics. I think I'm leaning towards more of the DC. Only for not one reason, but a big reason is because Batman.
Okay.
Batman is like, I'd say, is like he's a regular guy, and anyone can do that if they really put their mind to it and if they have money.
If they have if they have Bruce Wayne's deep pockets.
Yeah.
If that was a real thing. Yeah.
So he's the closest to being like a real superhero.
Have you checked out? Have you had the opportunity to check out the Long Halloweens yet?
No, I haven't.
Got to. I would. It's one of my favorite graphic novels from Batman. I would suggest if you haven't read it, take a chance. You know, read it, and definitely, you know, I think the animated does it some. You know, some justice. I think it definitely does it some justice. It's a dark story. It is definitely a dark story. So it's definitely, I wouldn't call it kid friendly, you know, but I would say definitely check them out. Since you said you're a self-professed nerd, did you get an opportunity to go to BlurredCon?
Nope.
You didn't get. My co-host Maria and Jose, the whole Concentrated podcast team went down, and they said they had a pretty good time. You know, they said there were a few bumps in the road, but you know, they said it's still a good event.
It's like I don't know, everything still was like fresh off of COVID, and I really didn't want to do anything. It's like, and then when stuff started opening back up, I got really back into training. So it's like it's been a lot, but like once things get back like on track, I'll start doing a lot of things. I also go to a bunch of concerts. I love live music. Love a bunch of music. So.
Right. Okay. So what music gets you in the zone? Like, how do you get? Is it for you to get mentally ready for a fight? Are you starting the day of, and is it a slow build, or is it somebody that you can walk into the building and switch it on a couple hours before and kind of start that mental process? What would be your playlist prior to the fight, up to walkout?
I don't necessarily have a playlist, but if I were, or an artist to get ready, but if I were to choose, it's I just put on some like old school boom bap rap, like instrument. Okay. Just jam to that. That's
all right.
I'm a hip hop head as well. There's a lot of stuff going around with me, so.
I mean, hey, but see that's a credit to growing up in the area. You know, growing up, you know, being where you're from, you know, that's the beauty part of growing up and where we grew up is you get hit with all these cultures and you're exposed to so much. So I can definitely see that part of it for sure. Well, let's get back into, what do you have coming up? Do you have any fights lined up for yourself?
I do. I believe August 26, 28, something like that, or the 26th to the 28th. I'm doing the WKAs.
Okay.
That one, I think the lowest weight class is going to be 118, so that's where I'm going to be. I think we might have a few other people going up with me to go do WKAs. I'm not sure, but I know for a fact I'll be up there for 3 days.
Few days.
Yeah.
So, okay. So talk about, is it for the lighter, do you find it easier as a fighter to find fights at the lighter weight classes, or is it a process, or is it, is it difficult?
Um, I still think it's harder. It's not impossible now, but I've been talking to my coach Josh, and he always says all the time when he was fighting, he could never find nobody in his weight class. He would always find somebody, and they'd miss weight by 10 pounds or so. Now it's like I can find the person to make the weight. Sometimes I'm the bigger fighter. Sometimes they just don't find nobody. It's like, oh, okay. But all the tournament based stuff I've been doing, it's been the lightest weight class I've done. There's some tournament I did in New York. I did it 2 times. Their lightest weight class is like 135 and under, and it's like it's
Wow.
crazy.
It's such a that's such a wide gap. So it's almost like competing in an absolute division, essentially, like a roosterweight absolute division, almost. And that, for people that don't know, that have never been to like a jiu-jitsu tournament or a grappling tournament, seeing the absolute division, it always seems to start off the match somebody your size against some giant to start the absolute division off. So I can only imagine what that would have been like. But let's
appreciate that too. Even like now as a fighter, I appreciate being able to be the smaller fighter and work with the bigger guys. Now it doesn't make sense if you're fighting someone small and you're fighting a bigger guy. It just makes you tough. So through the years, it was like I'm happy that I'm tough. I can take the kicks, I can take the punches because I've been hit by heavier people. It's nothing. But it has to be a point where if you keep working with these bigger guys, you don't get better. You get probably tougher, but they can't simulate what a small person can do to you. Because I remember for this camp or the TCB camp, I went up to Jesse Swang's place in American Muay Thai, and I fought one of their smaller guys to get some work in. First, I don't know why, but I didn't notice he was a southpaw, which is why I should have done that off the back. And then just everything, the timing was different, the speed was different, and I got caught with stuff that I usually don't get caught with. But then I realized I was like, smaller guy like me, similar, and he's also a southpaw. So that was great to really. That's when I really had to like change on the fly and like really like showcase my skills. Cause he was getting ready for a fight. I think I had a few more years of training than him, but he was good. He gave me work, and it was like I really had to like adjust and really take out some of my tools. So it was different because he was like a smaller guy than me. The speed was almost matched, the power, and then just the angles were really, really awkward.
Right. Well, let's touch on that. Let's touch on that some. Because there's a coach throwing an event this weekend called Spar Wars, and just to touch on the ability to be able to kind of create and foster among different teams. This. Even though we're going to end up competing against each other at different points, iron kind of sharpens iron type of situations. Can you touch on maybe how important that is, getting different looks from people that aren't on your team, kind of deal?
Oh, it's super important because not to say that another gym wants to take your head off and wants to hurt you, but it's different when it's not your teammate you're sparring because you don't know their intention. Your intention might be I'm just here to get work, but their intention might be, I'm trying to look good amongst everyone else, or I'm trying to. Oh, they might know you, and be like, Oh yeah, I beat up a winning record fighter. They seem good about sparring, but me and my sense, sparring is not about fighting. It's about
Right.
learning and using the tools you learn. So when I spar, it's like, hey, one day I'm just gonna probably work on my jab, or something like, or movement. It's just the way I like to spar. For this camp, also, I only sparred like twice.
Okay.
So I
I
like
mean,
sparring, but I'm a big advocate of like sparring to improve. Not necessarily every sparring doesn't have to be hard. You shouldn't be going home with like your head hurting or bruising all the time.
yeah, you don't want to turn your brain into mush. Those days of I think at this point there's enough information out there. People have their different styles, and hats off to those people. But I think there's enough information out there for the people that to suit those styles that it makes sense. You want to. You got to think of after the career, what's my life looking like down the line type of deal, you know. So let's wind it up here. You're fighting at WKA's in August, right? Is there anybody, since you have the PG County swag, and is there anybody? I like to stir the pot a little bit. Is there anybody in your weight class that you want to call out? Maybe, sort of, kind of.
The second fight, I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but the second fight that I lost to leg kick to TKO, um, Ashton Hefner, I think that's what his name. I'd like to fight him again. I know he just fought. I watched the sports. I know he just fought in the promotion I just fought in, the USKA, the one when I went up to Pennsylvania. Apparently he lost. So I don't know if I'd like to fight him again just to. Just to.
You want to get it back?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even to prove that I'm better. It's like not even just to prove that my mind wasn't right in that. It's not. I guess to satisfy myself, but I'm at the point where it's like if I fight him, I do. If I'm not, whatever. But if we can run it back, I mean, it's.
Come on, Ashton, let's run it back. Let's have him run it back. All right, everybody. This is Sergio Andrade fighting out of College Park MMA. Let's give it up for. All right, and I appreciate you coming, man. I appreciate it. We're gonna edit it up. Actually, let's. I forgot to. We can edit this out. We'll do the closing part again. Hey, before we wrap this up, Sergio, let's. How can people get a hold of you? On your.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Should be at Don Rubencito. My middle name and just SITO at the end. Don DON. So y'all can find me on that. If you're my close friend, you probably have me already. But yeah.
All right. Everybody, this is Sergio Andrade. Thank you, Sergio, for coming by and sitting down with us.
Yep.
All right, man. Like I said, I really, really appreciate it. We'll get this chopped up and edited, and we'll send it out to you. We'll give everybody the proper tag on social media, and we'll blow this thing up. Because we're trying to do the same thing on our end that you're trying to do in your discipline. We're just everybody trying to get everybody better together. Yeah. Type of deal. All right, man.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend. And shout out to you for being a teacher, bro. I mean, really shout out to you.
It's great.
Shout out to you.
I love teaching.
You have to, though. You really have to. You really have to.
Yeah.
Jose was a special ed teacher in PG County. Yeah, he was. I think it was High Point. He was a special ed teacher and he helped out. He was one of the assistant coaches at the for the wrestling team as well when he was there.
I went to Northwestern.
Yay.
It wasn't the greatest years, but
I mean, I went to Roosevelt. Hey, I survived Roosevelt. I mean, that's the funny thing. People would think that Roosevelt, the misconception is that Roosevelt was all science and tech. It's like, do you realize we had some of the worst neighborhoods bust into the school? The only reason I went there was because I lived down the street, not because I was, some brainiac or anything.
Nah, I was so I got kicked out of my middle school. Had to go to a different middle school.
Where'd you go?
So I went to Nicholas Orm at first.
Okay.
I got kicked out of there for being violent.
Of course.
And then after that, I went to Greenbelt Middle School, which is great. I love Greenbelt. I didn't have.
That's where I went.
I didn't have any white friends. I had like 2 Latino friends, and everyone else was black, like ghetto black. So it was great. Then at the point, I was I guess smart, or I was smart. I just didn't care in school. But they wanted me to hey, apply to Roosevelt, go there. I was like, you know what? I'm not even from the area. I'd rather go to where I'm from, where I'm going, Northwestern. So I ended up going to Northwestern.